Today's video, as you can see, is kind of a shout out video to Mike's DVD and Blu-ray channel, a friend of this channel for sure. We've been on live streams together. Mike has really sent me down some rabbit holes in the very best way, primarily in two categories, film noir and westerns, with the subgenre being spaghetti westerns, not exclusively. And in fact, please go check out Mike's channel. This month of January, he's doing 31 days of spaghetti, where he's talking about westerns such as Kioma, which I have yet to see, Death Rides a Horse, I've shown those before, Cemetery Without Crosses, and many others. I imagine he'll be talking about Sabata. I can't recall if he already has, but I haven't seen that. Yeah, please check out his channel. And by the way, Mike, the other day I rewatched for the first time in many years, DOA. Boy, what a movie that is. Classic film noir. And I got a question for Mike at the end of this video, so stay tuned. But yeah, back in October when I went overseas to the United Kingdom, Mike was nice enough to make a video that was essentially a shout-out video to this channel. And I got back, I was so busy catching up on everyone's videos, I didn't see it for about 10 days. So I felt bad about that. And recently he's made a community post about my channel. You know, we've been going back and forth in his comment section about all these great film noir, or excuse me, spaghetti westerns that he's been focusing on this month. So I appreciate that, Mike. So right back at you. So here's some movies that I've picked up recently, some of which were inspired by Mike's channel, some of which were the result of me sending him a direct message saying, hey, here's a sale. What should I get? So here's one of them, 99 River Street, starring John Payne, which is an actor Mike has focused on before. I've really gotten into some John Payne movies. This one is directed by Phil Carlson, also starring Evelyn Keyes. Just a very solid film noir. John Payne is an ex-boxer who's sort of lamenting that he never really got the shot that he wanted, and now he gets involved with some thugs. He gets accused of murdering somebody, and we're off. And really good film noir, very atmospheric, very good role for John Payne. And then the other one that Mike recommended that I get was Silver Load, a really solid John Payne Western. I think it's available on YouTube if you want to check it out. But is Alan Hale in this? We got Dan Duryea, Alan Hale Jr. Yeah, I just saw him on an episode of Rawhide too. Lisbeth Scott. And again, someone's essentially getting framed and having to work out, having a day to sort of clear themselves. Really solid Western. Dan Duryea and John Payne together. What can you say? So those are some of the films that Mike's recommended. Perhaps, I don't remember, he may have recommended this one too, Stranger on Horseback, based on the story by Louis L'Amour, starring Joel McCrea. But I think I picked that one up with the other two. So looking forward to that. Here's a few. Let me just throw these out. I haven't shown this yet. I take it that Mike's a fan of Peckinpah. Actually, I think he just mentioned The Ballad of Cable Hogue. Now, that's one I haven't seen. I definitely need to get that. Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, starring Warren Oates. As the critic Elvis Mitchell has said, this film will probably never be remade, because you could also call it Bring Me the Tormented Soul of Sam Peckinpah. It's not a pleasant ride, but it's a fascinating ride. And if you're a Peckinpah fan, you got to check it out. Here's perhaps an oddity I'm just going to throw in from Kino Lorber. I got this mostly for the cast. Don't know anything about it. Directed by Philip Kaufman, though. White Dawn. The White Dawn. Warren Oates, again. Timothy Bottoms and Louis Gossett. Big fan of all three of those, especially Oates and Gossett. Baffin Island, Eskimos, sailors separated from the ship, polar bears, walruses, Henry Mancini on the score. I don't know. Check it out. And then finally we have a Kirk Douglas film, Lonely Are the Brave. Kirk Douglas Western, co-starring Jenna Rollins and Walter Matthau. I do enjoy seeing Walter Matthau in serious roles. And then, also, The Unholy Four. I watched this last night. Boy, what a movie. And I also watched Django, the original one. I have to say, I might prefer this over Django, to be honest with you. I watched Django on streaming. But The Unholy Four, starring Woody Strode, Leonard Mann, George Eastman, although he's going by his actual name, Luca Montefiore, and Peter Martell. The four of them play escaped prisoners who escaped from a mental asylum. Only one of them seems to have some kind of mental impairment, but they're all thrown in there. The Leonard Mann character is an amnesiac who doesn't remember anything, but they escape in a fire that was created during the chaos of a gold robbery, and they go on the run, and they have to deal with this gang first. And there's a great scene in a forest where they're on foot and they're being chased, but then they come to a wooded area. So the bad guys, the villains, sort of dismount and go after them. They've all got guns. These guys got nothing but the clothes on their back, and they turn the tables on them. And there's some really good action scenes in this film, some really inventive fight scenes, a few that are a little far-fetched, but I watch kung fu movies where people jump up on top of three-story buildings. But there's one scene where somebody gets punched and he he literally goes flying in the air. But yeah, that's a really good sequence. And then essentially the story settles into a town where you have a power struggle between two wealthy ranchers, one of whom is apparently the father of the amnesiac character. And just really good. These four guys make a great team. You've got one guy who's real good with a knife, and then you got Woody Strode, who's kind of portrayed as the strong man of the group, even though Luca Montefore is actually taller. At least he was 6'6". I mean, I never realized he was that big. Walking around, he's like towering over everybody in this film. Really good. And by the way, the guy's name is Chuck Moole. I guess the Italian name is Chuck Moole, L'Uomo della Vendetta. Okay, I don't know if I pronounced that the right way. But really good cast of characters, lots of backstabbing and betrayal at the end, and kind of a semi-tragic ending. Great song, too, great theme song. I really enjoyed it tremendously. And the theme song for Django is also quite good. But that was a very entertaining film. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, John Payne was an actor that Mike sort of kind of turned me on to. Having said that, I kind of realized that I'd seen some John Payne films before. Of course, Miracle on 34th Street, the classic. I was going to rewatch that back in December. I never quite got the chance, but I'll be checking that one out again for sure. To the Shores of Tripoli is one I got a while ago, only because I had sort of vague memories of it, and I kind of conflated it with some other films, so I watched it. It's a pretty good standard story of a soldier who's about to go to war, who has a conflict with his sergeant, I believe, played by Randolph Scott, and there's a woman involved, a nurse, and it's pretty good. And as I was watching it, pretty much all came back to me. I was kind of conflating it with a few other films that have training sequences and so forth, but yeah, I kind of remembered it. Now, he's also in a film called Tripoli, just Tripoli, which is about the actual sort of invasion of Tripoli, which the song The Shores of Tripoli is based on. I haven't seen that yet. And then a while back when I got into, Mike sent me down the film noir rabbit hole, I got this 3-pack here. Kansas City Confidential's one I talked about before. Boy, that one really caught me off guard. What a great cast of characters. Lee Van Cleef and Jack Elam, and John Payne plays the lead in that. And then there was one I picked up from the dollar store, and I'm not going to remember it now, and I couldn't find it. But it was one of these that came in a thin case like this from the Dollar Tree. I'll put the title right here because I can't remember it. A Hard Way, I believe it was. Pretty good film noir. John Payne, I think he's really good at like these sort of sympathetic characters who are either trying to do the right thing or have some really unfortunate events thrust upon them. Actually, he plays an amnesiac in that one, a guy that comes back from World War II and doesn't remember his criminal past. Well, his old criminal buddies do. And by the way, this movie here is called A Town Called Hell. It's a Western starring Telly Savalas and Robert Shaw. Mike, have you seen this one? Haven't checked it out yet, but it looks interesting. So those are the films that I wanted to talk about, some of the John Payne films that Mike inspired me to watch, and also my latest haul of films. What did you think? What are your thoughts about these? Let me know in the comments below. As always, make sure you check out Mike's DVD and Blu-ray channel. Check out some of his 31 Days of Spaghetti videos, and go back and watch some of his older videos. Actually, I have to go back and watch some of his Kung Fu videos. I think there's a few that I haven't seen. And the film that I want to recommend to Mike and everybody, and I have done a review on this if you want to check it out, is Curse of the Undead. So Mike, if you haven't seen this, just curious. If you have seen it, what are your thoughts? Let me know. And anybody else. This is really interesting now. I watched this before I started watching Rawhide, the TV show. And the main star of this, Eric Fleming, he's essentially the lead guy in Rawhide, and the villain in this, Michael Pate, has appeared in about 4 or 5 Rawhide episodes playing different characters. The guy's like a chameleon. He can play an old Mexican guy. I think on The Rifleman he played a Spaniard. He finally plays an Australian in an episode of Rawhide, and that's actually what he was. I didn't know that. He's just one of these chameleon-like actors. But yeah, check this film out if you guys haven't. And what are your thoughts? Make sure you check out Mike's DVD and Blu-ray channel. And most likely I'll be doing some kind of live stream with Mike in the next few months. So on his channel, my channel, you know, we're always kind of hanging out together. So come back real soon, and I'll talk to you later.